Hi, today I'll be going over strategies for every strike to complete them as fast as possible. These include things like what enemies need to be killed or what parts can be skipped, and will primarily focus on solo farming rather than going in with a fire team. I'll cover both advanced strats as well as the basics for each strike, so there will be something for you whether you just started the game or are thousands of hours in. There are also timestamps in the description if you want to find a specific one. Before we start going through every strike in the game, I'll go over a few general techniques used in every strike, starting with loadouts. Obviously, you can run whatever you want, but these are my recommendations to go as fast as possible when farming strikes. First up is what class to run, which has the clear choice of Warlock on top tree Dawnblade because of the high speeds that can be achieved with Icarus Dash. Next up are weapons and exotic armor, which need to be good at both boss damage and at clear to finish strikes as fast as possible. The combination of Witherhoard, the Achilles SMG, Falling Guillotine, and Sunbracers fill that role nicely. The Achilles SMG is good because Warmind cells are easily the strongest tool for clearing out trash mobs in the game. The strongest Warmind cell generating weapon being the Achilles SMG, but any other energy weapon that makes Warmind cells is fine too. Witherhoard is also a great tool for generating Warmind cells, because any enemy that dies to it while the player holds their 7th Seraph weapon will count towards the generation of Warmind cells. Witherhoard also does good damage to bosses while you use your sword to do most of the work, as well as having an extremely high total damage output if you're the only one shooting at the boss. Sunbracers also pair well with the Warmind cell build, because using the Wrath of Rasputin mod allows solar splash damage to generate Warmind cells. This includes the infinite amount of solar grenades you can throw with Sunbracers after getting a melee kill. Falling Guillotine is my recommended power weapon of choice due to its high burst damage compared to other swords, with its spinning heavy attack, but any other sword will do as well. The main reason to use a sword instead of something like a rocket that has higher damage per second is that outside of a boss fight, swords can help you move much faster. Swinging a sword, switching weapons mid-swing, and activating Glide gives a big boost of speed, which can be paired with Icarus dashing. I have a link in the description on this and other Warlock movement in detail if you're interested. Sword skating is also used in strikes with certain relics like balls that need to be dunked. In these cases, just do the same inputs as normal sword skating while holding the relic, but hold the interact button as well while you do this to pick it back up after dropping it by switching weapons. Some other advanced techniques involving a sparrow are also used in certain strikes. To learn about those, check the description for my sparrow movement guide. One last thing that's worth pointing out is that anytime you need to scan something with your ghost, double tapping the menu button, which is bound to tab on mouse and keyboard by default, will let you put away your ghost and move away while it scans. With all that out of the way, let's jump in and start going through each strike in detail. First up is the Arms Dealer, one of the fastest strikes in the game. From loading in, make sure to kill all enemies in the first room and scan the terminal as fast as possible. Outside, kill everything to make a fuel cell spawn, which can be used to relic skate to the next area to dunk the relic.
That last harvester exposed an active fuel cell. Maybe use it.
After dunking, run past everything else and kill the yellow bar cabal inside this room. Run past all the enemies up to the outside area where you can summon your sparrow and boost it up onto this ramp into the ship. Continue sparrowing into the room with the tanks and either sparrow flick or drive over to the first terminal that needs to be scanned. Don't worry about killing the first tank and make your way up to the second terminal, which will lower the elevator. This tank does need to die as well as the yellow bar cabal that spawns directly after. Make your way up to the boss room and scan the terminal to open the door. If there are modifiers like heavyweight or a singe that matches your DPS weapon's element, and you have enough ammo, try to kill the boss here immediately, which will allow you to get to the real boss fight faster. Otherwise, just go over and wait at this lever, which will become interactable after Brachiosaurus jumps up to the boss arena. After the lever is pulled, kill the enemies who drop down onto the elevator in this ball, and if you're on top tree Dawnblade, consume a grenade to activate Heat Rises. Then, run up to this slope, double jump, and hold forward to slide up it. Kill the boss at the top, and the strike is over. Next is Lake of Shadows, by far the quickest strike to complete. As soon as you load into the strike, equip Anarchy if you have it and drive into the strike area. When you get to the blights, sparrow over to the first one and attach a single Anarchy to it to kill the blight and keep going. Do this for the other 2 blights and wait where the mini Taken boss spawns at the end. As soon as you see the last blight get destroyed, you are safe to swap back to whatever loadout you were using. Kill the mini boss and break the blight blocking the door. Immediately summon your sparrow in the hallway and drive it into the next section, making sure to keep your sparrow the whole way. You may need to drive around the outside to get there safely, or you can boost off this ledge and dodge to get to the end. Get off your sparrow, kill the mini boss, and get back on, driving it out to the bridge where you can sparrow flick to the end of this second section. If you lost your sparrow or couldn't do the flick, run through the left side of the bridge to the end. Next, kill the knight at the end of the bridge and run into the next room. Jumping up to the last walkway from here to save a bit of time. Go into the next room and kill the wizard, then run up the rest of the way into the boss room. Break the blight, kill the boss, and the strike is over. Next on the list is the Inverted Spire, another top tier strike with some good skips. Upon loading in, assess your teammates. If you are grinding strikes with a friend or loading with a Blueberry who you've been matching with for a while and can hold their own, drive over to the right and skip the first section with the conflux and continue through the launcher. If you don't have teammates you can trust, go to the left and kill all the Vex near this ledge, as well as the Cabal that spawn to the right. Scan the conflux and continue to the launchers. Spare flick in here if you are comfortable with it. Here, you can slipstream to get past the sections between the launchers if you are able. Otherwise, go through the launcher. The section between the launchers won't have any ads if you skip the first bit earlier. If you didn't do that though, don't worry about killing any of them. Just run straight past. Go through the next launcher and summon your sparrow before landing. Sparrowing into the next section and parking it in a safe spot. You'll need it later. Kill the waves of Vex near the barrier, don't worry about the Cabal, and get back on your sparrow to continue. Here, you can sparrow flick, slipstream, or just drive up to the next section, not needing to worry about any of the enemies. Make your way over to the area with the 2 buildings either by driving normally or sparrow flicking off this ledge. Kill the 2 yellow bar Cabal with arc shields in both of those buildings, and launch over to the drill. Drop down and pull the lever as soon as you can. This section doesn't require killing any enemies, but I recommend killing everything until the dogs spawn, where you can just wait on this barrier for the objective to reach 100%. Next, jump into the cannon and summon your sparrow on the other side, where you can either continue to the right, just normally driving your sparrow flick and get back on by the drill, or sparrow flick and pop Dawnblade to fly to the end. No enemies need to die in this section, just make your way to the boss room and kill the 3 harpies to summon the boss. Damage the Vex Mind until it goes immune on each level, and kill it either at the bottom or on a higher floor by damaging it quickly. When the boss dies, the strike is over. Next up is Exodus Crash, a widely hated strike that actually doesn't take too long to complete. For the first part, get on your Sparrow and just follow the arc pulses. No fancy strategies here or anything, just don't worry about the enemies until the pulses are gone. When you get to the door, kill everything there to lower the barrier. Then, run in and summon your Sparrow, which can be taken to the next section. Get off here and scan the terminal immediately. Then, stand by your ghosts and kill outs from this platform until the servers spawn. Kill them quickly and wait for the objective to complete. Then, go to the next section on your Sparrow and flick onto this box where the first arc pulse spawns in. Go over to the close pulses first, then the ones on the left, then the far ones, and then into the next area. Optionally, Sparrow flick off this peak, or just drive to the end and kill the spider tank, ignoring everything else. Wait for the objective marker to move into the fiery rebel of the ship and Sparrow in. When you get into the dark room, go to the right side and jump on this box, jumping onto this metal bit and into the end of the room. Kill the waves of ads in the boss room and damage the boss, repeating the process until he dies. It is worth noting that the boss will still take damage as he goes invisible, so keep damaging while that happens. Kill him and the strike is over. The next strike is the Insight Terminus, which is a pretty mid-tier strike that is somewhat short. At the start, summon your Sparrow and drive to the right into the cave. Continue driving until the roadblock right here. Then, jump off your Sparrow and run past all the enemies into the next room, going to the left to avoid them and save time. At the plate, block with your sword so Kargan doesn't launch you backwards, or swing your sword if he does. Kill the Vex that come from behind as well as the Cabal in front. Just make sure nothing touches the plate to halt progress. Then, go through the portal and into the next area when the plate is captured and the barrier goes down. When you get into the big room, shoot the boss so they'll leave and spawn the Centurion from the ceiling. Grab an arc orb from this Centurion and use it to relic skate over to the dunk spot. Kill the second one from the ceiling and repeat, going through the door, past the enemies, down a big tube, and into the boss room. If you have the Prime Attunement buff and want your engram faster, put a bullet in every enemy here and they'll count towards your engram drop. Go onto the plate and wait to damage the boss. If you don't one-phase the boss and he goes immune, hop onto another plate and hope your teammates do the same. If one of them follows you to a plate, jump to a different one and hope they stay there. Once all 3 plates have been activated and Kargan's shield goes down, kill him and the strike is over. Next up is the Warden of Nothing, one of the longer strikes in the game but not a super long one. Upon loading in, run through the hallway, past the enemies, and up to the door in the first room. Wait for it to open and run up to the terminal and scan it. Jump over the first train and go down the tunnel, making sure to jump to the side to avoid the oncoming train.
Out of your way, and maybe find the lights.
Go into the lower tunnel and summon your Sparrow immediately, driving past some enemies and into this big train section. If you're the first person to make it here and went fast, you should be able to make this rotation with the trains I'm showing on screen now. Just watch out for this double spawn and get to the ramp at the end. You can either Sparrow flick off this ramp, or just continue driving until the end of this room. Then, run into the next room with the trains, and kill the waves of Vex until a big Minotaur spawns. Kill it and go up to the tube into the next section. Here you can run past all the enemies and go into the next section. In this arena, kill all the adds as quick as you can, and grab the Scorch Cannon to spawn the first mine, A. While dismantling A, look for your teammates and see if they're going towards where B or C will spawn. If someone is on one of the mines, go to the other one once A is done. If neither teammate is standing where a mine spawns, go for B first because it spawns a few seconds sooner than C. Next, a wave of Cabal will spawn. Kill the big yellow bar Colossus and go up to the door while you wait for the adds to despawn. Then, go through the door, down the tube, and up to this chest. Open the chest as soon as you get there, and switch to Phoenix Dive if you're on Warlock, or Shadow Dive on Hunter, to go down the tube faster than normal. You can switch subclasses as soon as the glass on the tube is visible and be out of your inventory before you land. Or, just leave on Phoenix Dive or Shadow Dive and switch back after the strike ends. Kill the adds here to spawn the boss, and then kill it to complete the strike. Next is the Hollowed Lair, another mid to long strike. As soon as it starts, summon your Sparrow and drive into the cave where the strike is. Either make this jump down to the next area, or stay close to the edge and summon a new Sparrow. Drive past all these enemies, up to this door, through this door, and then up to the next one. In the next area, get onto this plate and stand there until it lowers. Then kill the spider tank when it spawns from this big door. You don't need to kill any other enemies in this room, but just make sure you don't die. After the tank is dead, stand here and wait for the objective marker to move in front of you. Then, run past all the enemies and go onto a plate to start lowering it. Kill the waves of adds in this room as your plate lowers, and lower the other one if your team hasn't already. Then, stand up near this gate, and when the objective changes, you'll be able to walk through it for a short time to get to the other side. Kill the abomination here and go over to the bridge, past all the enemies, popping Daybreak if you have it to go faster. In this room with the spinning things, you can jump up near the entrance all the way to the exit instead of going around the long way, and then go into the boss room. The boss fight's pretty long, and there isn't much that can be done about it. Just damage the boss until he goes immune, kill all the adds as quick as possible, and repeat until he dies, completing the strike. Next up is the Corrupted, a widely hated strike that is actually really short. S.A.B.E.R, the Corrupted, has a high crit modifier, so switch to Izanagi's Burden at some point during the strike. If you're on Hunter, you can insta-kill the boss with Izanagi's Burden and a Celestial Nighthawk. Otherwise, the boss fight might be a little bit long. Upon spawning in, summon your Sparrow and drive up to the yellow bar taken with the Arc Shield and kill it. Then, get back on your Sparrow and go into the Ascendant Plane, driving past all these enemies and going through the portal. Try to scan the terminal in the elevator. Sometimes it bugs out and won't let you scan, in which case you'll need to relaunch the strike playlist and say goodbye to your Vanguard streak. Hopefully that doesn't happen though. Pick up a relic from the side and stand by where the Scions are spawning. When some shielded enemies spawn, stand really close to them and throw the ball point blank to break all of their shields. You may need to throw another ball if you don't do this perfectly. You can also charge up the ball to make a bigger explosion by throwing it to someone else on your team if you can trust your Blueberries or have a friend. Repeat this for the next wave of shielded enemies too. Once the elevator stops, make your way over to this big room with the ogre. You can pop Daybreak here and use it to fly over to the right side to save some time. In the ogre room, you don't need to kill everything, just the ogre. But once you get teleported, you might want to kill some shriekers so they don't get you instead. Once the ogres die in both the normal area as well as the ascendant plane, start heading to the boss arena. Go down the bridge, drop past the blights, and end up in this large room. Jump down to this rock while sword blocking to potentially be launched forward. If that doesn't work, you can also just jump on the rock to the next platform. Keep going towards the boss arena and pop Daybreak if you have it to get there faster. The first relic will spawn on the left side, so go there as quick as you can and pick it up. Throw the relic at the boss to lower her shield, hit her with Izanagi's Burden, and anything like Celestial Nighthawk or Curse of the Falling Star to go for the 1 phase. If that doesn't work out, try to pick up another relic and bring it into the Ascendant Plane to kill her immediately. Or just follow her to the end where the relic spawns and kill her to end the strike. Next strike is the Scarlet Keep, one of, if not the longest strikes in the game. Upon loading in, summon your sparrow and sparrow fly up onto this raised platform in the first room. Alternatively, you can jump onto some geometry in the room, up high, and drive your sparrow down from there. Take your sparrow to the outside section, and either sparrow flick to the part with the 2 void relics, or drive to the right into that same area. If you go for the sparrow flick, make sure to run backward into the doorway to get the checkpoint to trigger that spawns the enemies in this section. Next, go to the 2 little rooms on the sides of the bridge, one on the left and one on the right. Run past all the enemies and kill the wizard to collect a void ball. Bring them back and slam both into the middle dunking areas. When you go for the right orb, and if you're on Top Tree Dawnblade, activate Heat Rises by consuming your grenade on the way back to skip the bridge section. When both balls are dunked, run up to the bridge while it lowers and run past all the enemies to the end of the bridge. Hopping Daybreak on Top Tree Dawnblade is fine here as long as you have high intellect and can get it back for a portion coming up. At the end of this bridge section, run to the left side and jump on these little ledges and onto this rock to save some time getting to the next part. Enter the next room and start capturing the plates. If a teammate is standing on the same plate as you, go to a different one to work on 2 at the same time. If you have Blueberries who seem competent at the game, or you load in as a fire team, leave the middle plate for them and start working on one of the others that are further away and take longer to get to. When all 3 plates are done, go to the door and to the outside area and jump onto this ledge if you're on Top Tree Dawnblade. Eat your grenade. To make Icarus dashing, use less super energy, and pop your super to fly across the outside bridge section to the elevator. When the elevator starts moving up, go back outside and over to this area on the left to start joining allies. This will put you up to the first stop of the elevator, where you'll need to kill a wizard. Do not do so until the elevator reaches the first floor of the Spire, where you'll soft lock the strike, requiring a wipe to continue. After killing the wizard, shoot the crystal, and when the elevator starts moving again, go underneath it to join allies up to the next floor of the Spire. Kill these wizards as fast as you can because doing so will not cause any issues. Shoot the crystal and join allies to the boss arena. While the boss loads in, put on Izanagi's Burden or Celestial Nighthawk because she has a large crit modifier, so precision damage does more to her compared to other bosses. Kill the 2 wizards, and then either one-shot the boss with Celestial Nighthawk, or hit her with Izanagi to do about a third of her health. Kill the waves of 5 until her shield goes down, and finish her off to complete the strike. Next up is Broodhold, which is one of the shortest strikes in the game, only behind Lake of Shadows. Upon loading into this strike, throw on Izanagi's Burden to instantly stun the boss when she pops up periodically before the final room. Next, summon your sparrow and drive it until you get to the first Broodhost Knight. Kill it, dunk the worm, and get back on your sparrow.
Elevated levels of ether in that night.
Then, drive into the large room with the 3 knights and park your sparrow somewhere safe. Kill each knight and dunk its worm into the middle area, making the boss pop out of the ground. You can also duplicate the worms here by switching weapons as the worm is dunked. Shoot her with one shot of Honed Edge ×4 Izanagi's Burden to make her leave. Then get on your sparrow and drive into the hole to follow the boss. Continue sparrowing, getting through this section by either dodging sideways to get onto this ledge on the left, or by falling into the pit and driving up this wall like a half pipe and dodging to boost yourself up. Keep going through this section until you get to the boss again. Once she pops up, hit her with Izanagi's Burden, and go to the end of the bridge with the purple spikes. At this point, you can swap your loadout back to whatever you were using before. Next, drive your sparrow to the right of the boss room, kill the knight, dunk the worm, and kill the boss to end the strike. Next strike is Glassway, one that is widely hated and also quite long. When you load in, summon your sparrow immediately and either drive into the cave or sparrow flick over to it. When you get inside, drive up this rock, or summon your sparrow here at the top. Then, nudge yourself against this left wall to get over this little bump and keep going with your sparrow. You can drive over to the left, or sparrow flick off this ledge to get to the next section. Kill every enemy in this area, move on to the next area, and kill everything there too. In the third area, enemies will spawn out of this hole in the ceiling, so throw a grenade to get them off of spawn. When you get to this open room, use Daybreak on Top Tree Dawnblade to fly over the whole area, or just run past all the ads. Just make sure not to fall off the map. The next room requires you to stand on a plate for a while to drain the Vex milk. Make sure not to let any enemies near the plate while it's draining, or it'll stop progress. After the milk has been drained, kill everything in this room and move on to the boss room. Kill the Fallen here to summon the boss. On the sides here, you can spawn camp the portals with Witherhorde or grenades during ad waves to kill everything much faster. Then, once the Hydras spawn, just make sure to damage them until they go immune each time they come out. Once they do that a few times and both of them die, the strike is over. Next strike is the Disgraced. To start, summon your sparrow and drive into this first room with the enemies. Get rid of everything in this room by clearing what was there initially, then watching these doors on the right, and finally spawn camping this last door on the left. Run through this little hall and staircase, past these enemies, and into the next area. Skip all the enemies inside and just go to the outer area. Kill each wave of hive as they spawn, and once they stop, you'll be able to progress further through this garage door. Go down past some of these enemies and into the next load zone where you can summon your sparrow and drive all the way to the garage door before the boss area. Here, scan the terminal, get back on your sparrow, and drive up to the boss. Damage about a third of her health, and then kill the wizards around her and the cursed thrall. This should make the next wave of enemies spawn in, but you may need to kill everything in the room or damage the boss more if it doesn't. Clear this wave of enemies with the ogre. And these knights in the little room. Then, when the boss leaves, go up to this garage door and wait for it to open up. The boss fight will start with Navota, the final boss, being in this bottom area. Then rotate between waves of adds and her up on this platform. Kill the waves of adds, and damage her until she goes immune each time. After a few phases, she'll go back to the middle where she can be killed, ending the strike. Next up is Fallen Saber, by far the longest strike in the game. Starting off, summon your Sparrow and Sparrow flick off this first ledge, or just drive off. Make your way over to the Warsat and scan it as soon as it lands. Now, just wait inside the circle until it progresses to 100%. You don't need to kill any enemies here because they don't contribute to progress at all, but you probably should so you don't die. When the scan completes, go down to the bunker door and hold interact to open it. Summon your Sparrow and drive down into the room with the enemies in it. Next, stand in the back of the room and kill each wave of Fallen as they appear, looking for any Warmind cells to shoot and blow up the fuse for the next section with splash damage before the hatch is even open. Once all the enemies die and no more waves spawn, scan this terminal and run to the doorway immediately if you've already blown up the fuse with a Warmind cell. If you didn't do that, just wait for the hatch to open and shoot the fuse to open the door to the next section. Make your way through the door, down the tube, and into this hallway with the arc pulses. Go to the end of the hallway and grab this arc orb, bringing it over to the dunk spot near the start. If you're on Top Tree Downblade, you can Icarus dash while holding this ball to go quickly, or just slide on any other subclass for a similar effect. Then make your way into the next room and kill everything that was there initially. Then go up to the door near the end of the room and spawn camp the enemies by dropping Witherhorde grenades and shooting them as they come out. Once they all die, make your way into this next room and kill enough combatants so the door opens. Run past the rest of the guys and into this boss room. Make sure not to touch this wall on the way down so your insides don't turn into outsides when you hit this wall at high speeds. Kill the servitors and shanks on each side of the boss arena to summon the boss and start damaging it. Do so until it goes immune, and then repeat killing every ad in the boss arena and damaging the boss. Do this a couple times until it becomes vulnerable with half health left. At this point, the boss can be killed to end the strike. Last strike on the list, and the most recent addition to the roster, is the Proving Grounds. Starting off, summon your Sparrow and drive to the end of this outside section while watching out for falling Cabal drop pods. Kill this incinerator, then a Cabal Centurion will spawn from this tank. Do enough damage to him so he goes immune and summons a shield. Then break the shield generator. Swords will work on this, but Witherhorde does not. Using a primary is fine too. Next, kill the boss to open the door of the tank. Summon your Sparrow and try to get past these short walls that block the path. If you don't make it, just get off and run into the next area. But if you do, drive there instead. Kill these 3 Cabal that spawn in front of the door and go into the little hallway and up the elevator. Once you get into this large room, kill everything as fast as possible to make more waves of enemies spawn, and then some tanks. Once everything dies and nothing else spawns, go through this door in the middle and go up to the next area. Once you get there, kill the yellow bar Cabal and grab the relic from this port. I don't recommend relic skating with this one as it is a very small radius it can be grabbed, so it will probably fall on the tank treads if you drop it. Jump across this gap to where some gladiators are in a doorway. Then drop the ball and kill the adds including this turret on the left. Technically, you could just run past, but the enemies will probably kill you if you do that, so I don't recommend it. Dunk the ball in this terminal and go to the other side, doing something similar to what you just did for the first room. Just kill all the turrets to not die, then the yellow bar cabal to spawn the relic, grab the relic and bring it back to the middle room. Kill some ads and dunk this ball like the one before. Then go straight into the room with the elevator and kill everything here as fast as possible to make the elevator start going up. If you're on Top Tree Dawnblade, activate Heat Rises near the top of the elevator to jump up the rest of the way before it makes it. Then, pop Super and fly into the boss arena. Interact with the pylon in the middle to start the fight, and damage the boss until it puts down a shield. Break the shield generator and damage it some more. Then, break the second shield generator that spawns on this elevated platform and kill the boss to end the strike. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it and that it helps you all get some good Vanguard specific weapons. Good luck farming and have a nice day.